Hello, today's design are in the hoop wine tuxedo aprons. This design fits most wine bottles. The design is, this size is roughly 6 1/4 by 9 1/2 inches. I do also have a smaller version of the design, which was made to fit the 5 by 7 hoop. The design does not have any embroidery on it. I've added a little monogram to the ones I've embroidered, and it's fairly easy for you to do that as well on your machine. So, I've printed out my instructions here, I've gathered all my materials, and we're ready to get going. I've got a large piece of fabric for my tuxedo jacket, a smaller piece for my bow tie, a couple of pieces of ribbon to make the strings to tie your apron with. I've got a piece of wash away stabilizer, the fabric kind. I've already put that in my large hoop. As I said, if you want to do the smaller version, you can use your 5 by 7 hoop. I've also got a pair of small scissors for trimming the applique. I really like this size best. Our favorite friend, 505, the temporary adhesive. And I think we're ready to go. Now the other thing I've done is I've printed out the thread guide here, and this allows me to decide what color thread I want to use on my project. Because if you're using a different fabric, you know, the red, you would want some different colors than the black, etc. So this shows me which each run is and helps me decide my thread selection. So we're going to come on over to our machine. I've already loaded some black bobbin thread in there because I'm going to be doing black trim around that and I don't want it to show. I've also got a little mark on my hoop here, and this helps me keep my hoop set when I take it in and out, which side is which. I have loaded the design, and the one thing I do before going into stitching, if you're a multi-needle user, is I've gone into here into the color edit and I've added some stops and set the colors that are appropriate for my project. So we're ready to start sewing. The first run is going to be a placement line to show me where the jacket fabric goes. That run is complete. The placement line has been stitched. I'm going to put my fabric. I've sprayed some 505 on the back already. I'm just going to lay that right over it, and I will lift this up and look from the back, and I can see that I've got adequate fabric around all of those stitching lines. You can just see them there. So I'm going to do one more thing here on this design because we need to trim out that neck. I'm going to look here and I'm going to go down about 1 inch from the top of this design in this neck section. So right about there, and I'm going to take and I'm just going to make a little cut with my scissors. That will make it much easier to finish. And don't necessarily need to use a hot iron, but I like to just use a little iron just to do a little pressure to press that in place nicely, keep it from moving. I'm going to put this back in my hoop and we will stitch it in place. Remember, never put your fingers in the machine while it's stitching. If you feel a need to have something there to help hold the fabric or keep it from whatever, use your tweezers or something like that. The run to secure our fabric has been completed. We'll take our hoop out of the machine, move it over to our work surface, and now I need to trim inside the neck area and outside that black line. As I said, I like to use these little applique scissors. Even though they're small, I find the angle and the shape of them makes it real quick and easy to cut. So I've just extended that slit I already made, and that's of course why you make that slit. And I'm just going to cut around the edge here, and I'll turn that as I cut. I want to pull gently on the fabric that I'm cutting. That keeps it up and lets me get nice and close to that edge. And I'm going to come back and cut around this way. The other reason I like these scissors is they're very easy to cut in either direction with. So I've cut the center out. Now I'm going to go along this edge and I'm going to trim this edge. And we'll just cut right down there. Cut as close as you can without cutting the stitches. Oops. And we just trim around, and I turn the hoop a little bit as I'm cutting. The other nice thing about these small scissors is they make it easier when you get towards the edge. One of the problems I found with some of your larger scissors, like those gooseneck scissors, is I can't get near the edge of the design with them. So we'll just keep cutting here. And I'm going to do one more thing before we put this back in the hoop. We need to put our ribbon apron ties on and secure them. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it on the center of my cutting surface here, where my cutting board. And I'm going to line up the lines of the hoop on the cross hatch of there. So I've got that there, those lines there, and there, and that way I can place my ribbons nice and evenly on both sides. So I've got 2 pieces of ribbon here. I'm going to take the ribbon, I'm going to put a little piece of tape on the end of the ribbon, and I'm going to lay it wherever you want. You know, you can do it up as high or as low as you want. It does run a line around the entire thing, so you could even add ribbons up there if you chose. But I'm going to put it right about there like that on that line. I'm going to take that in place. The other thing you want to do is to put a piece of tape on the side here. You want to keep this ribbon secure. You want to make sure it does not get in your work surface or your work area while you're stitching. It's a pain to remove everything over the ribbon. So I've got that there, and make sure he's nice and straight. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Grab a little piece of tape here and put that on the end of the ribbon. We'll line him up on that same line on this side, so you can just kind of see those lines through the stabilizer. And now this is the side which goes back against my machine, so I'm going to tape him extra secure. I'm going to put one piece of tape here to hold him over and straight. I'm going to try to at least. And then I'm going to take the rest of this and I'm actually going to kind of tape it up here along this edge so that it doesn't get caught in my stitching area while I'm embroidering or bump down in there. So we've got him securely taped out of the way and these pieces down. We return it to our machine and it's going to do a run to secure those. Be careful when you're putting that in there that that loop doesn't catch on anything. Again, keep your fingers out of there. If you want to keep something down or secure, use your tweezers. This run is complete. I just need to remove the tape from the inside here, and it probably will be easier to do over on my work surface. So I'm going to remove that tape. And I'm going to trim that maybe to about 1 millimeter from that line that was stitched. And we'll do the same thing on this side. And just trim that thread there. And this guy is trying to get caught on things, isn't he? That little loop wants to stick up. We'll tape him down a little better. So this tape I'm going to leave in place on the side so that my ribbons stay out of the stitching area. We'll put this back in the machine. The next run is going to be the black satin stitching around the edge. And again, like I said, I've already put black bobbin thread in my machine here so that it will make that seam. Oops, I haven't put black bobbin thread in my machine here. I'm going to put black bobbin thread in my machine here so that that run will look a little cleaner from both sides should you see the underside of the tuxedo jacket. Okay, the black satin stitching has finished. So I'm going to take out my black bobbin thread and go back to my white for the tuxedo shirt and the rest of the design. You can of course use whatever color bobbin thread works best for you. So it's next going to stitch the shirt, the lapels, and then I've got another stop set right before it starts the bow tie, since that's applique as well. The embroidery of the tuxedo shirt and lapels on the jacket is finished. We're now going to add our bow tie. I've already put a little 505 on the back, and because this is such a small piece, I'm just going to place him right there and do that. I'm actually going to skip the first run, which was really a placement run, since I kind of know where it is because of the open shape, and I'm just going to go to the run to secure it. After it's secured, we will trim it, of course. The bow tie is secured. We'll remove the hoop over to our work surface area, and we can trim around the bow tie. Just going to use, again, my small little scissors here, and I'll pull gently on the edges there and trim as close as I can to those stitch lines. And we'll just turn and snip, and with just a few more snips we'll have this bow tie all trimmed. These little scissors are really great for quick trims. And just a little high over there, we'll just trim that a little better. So this can go back in our machine. It's going to put the satin stitch on around the bow, and I've actually added a monogram in software. We'll go over how you can do that on the machine as soon as this is done stitching. Okay, thank you. Our design is all finished stitching. As I said, I already added the monogram, but if you don't have software to do that, what you would simply do is go ahead, delete that pattern out, go into your text options in your sewing machine, and pick the monogram or the letters you want. And so again, R, I'll do this for the second one, S, there we go, and set that. And then what you would want to do is take your thing and reposition your, oops, nope, that's not where we do edit end. Now reposition where we're going to be stitching, and just center it somewhere around, I'm not sure if you can quite see the little red dot shining on the fabric, but just center it somewhere around there. Now these are actually 1 3/4 inches. That's probably a little high. You probably want them more like 1 inch high. So I might have changed that size. But anyways, you would just select the size like that and then go ahead and sew the letters like that. So since we're all done here, I'm going to remove this. We're going to take it over here, remove our pieces of tape from the edge. And I actually save my tape and reuse it until it loses too much sticky, and then I'll throw it out and get a fresh piece. So I'm just sticking my tape up there. I'll remove this from the machine, or the hoop rather. I'm going to cut away my excess stabilizer. Now I do actually save the larger pieces of the stabilizer. So I'm going to cut like that, and I can use that for where I need to double up on stabilizer for freestanding lace designs. Be careful you don't cut your ribbon ties. I'm just going to cut down the edges here. and around on this edge, and then we're going to go to the sink and rinse to remove this. So I've got the water running. I like to use a cup to try and put some of the stabilizer in if I can. Keeps it from making quite so much of a mess down the drain. I just like to rinse it, and once it's wet, you can usually pull it away. Sometimes it melts on you before you can get it all pulled away, but do the best you can. And we'll get that little spot out of the center, and we'll see if we can get some of this edge off without. And usually with this, if you just kind of run and wet right there, you can start to pull that away, at least some of it. And again, we'll put that in our cup so that we don't have to put it all down the drain. Now the side's getting a little wet. Now this project, I do like to rinse thoroughly to get rid of all of this stabilizer that I can. You want this to be able to wrap around your wine bottle. So you need it, the stabilizer, if you leave that wash away stabilizer in, will make it stiff. So I'm actually going to come over here and rinse that good, get those buttonholes as well, or the bow tie rather, and from around the pocket where I couldn't peel that off quick enough. So I'm just rinsing all of that stabilizer off this. We don't want it stiff, we want it to be able to wrap around the wine bottle or whatever we're putting it on. Once this has been rinsed thoroughly, what I like to do is I take a towel and I lay it on the towel and I fold the towel over it and roll it up a little bit. And now I'm going to twist gently. I don't want to wring it, but I want to twist gently to get some of that moisture out of there. And then I'll twist in the other direction. So just a gentle twist. And then that pretty much dries it, but I am going to finish it off. You could let it dry the rest of the way and then iron, but I prefer to just go ahead and iron at this point. So I'm going to bring this over to my ironing board, and I've got my iron turned on, and I'm just going to press and take a few minutes, and you can actually go ahead and press this all the way dry if you want. I'll get the ribbons dry as well, and I'll press and get that other ribbon lay hem flat. And it just really takes a minute under the iron and the design will be dry. The embroidered area might take another moment longer to dry than the plain fabric. And I'll turn it over and we'll give it a light pressing from the front. And we've got another wine tuxedo apron cover made. So this is a nice size. It'll fit, like I said, most wine bottles. You've got a good wide opening there. You can see on the grid here, the size kind of it. As I said, we do also have the 5x7 version. That should fit your 5x7 hoop. You'll need the larger hoop for the full-sized version. I hope you've enjoyed this project. If you have, please like and share. Subscribe to this channel for more in the hoop videos, in the hoop stitching videos, and happy stitching.